We work so you can play.
Hey MiniWarGamers, Paul here, talking you through the Island of Blood miniatures and how I painted them up. So I started with a gray spray paint, much like Codex Gray. It's actually maybe even closer to the Misty Gray Reaper paint. So I started with a gray base and I highlighted with mithril silver on all of the silver bits. So these guys have lots of chainmail, and their swords and their helmets are all quite bright silver. So I started out dry brushing all of that silver. Then I went on and did a Bad Black wash on top of the silver. So what it did is, the mithril silver was very, very bright. Bad Black brought it down a bit, went into the cracks and all that, gave it a nice, nice shading. Once I moved on from there, I did the base colors on the rest of the model. So basically the blue, for all the blue bits on them, I used the Mordium blue foundation color for that. Went on, did the, what else we have? The gold. So I used Reaper golds, non-metallic golds. I find that painting metallic gold can be quite tricky. It ends up being a bit rubbery. It's hard to get on nice and thick and or get it a nice even color. So I decided to do as a non-metallic gold. And actually, gold is quite straightforward to do non-metallic. So all I did was I started with a Palomino gold base coat, which is very similar to Idean Dark Sun, I believe it is, the foundation. So you can do a foundation there, and I did a Devlin Mud wash, and then I highlighted it with Palomino gold, and then the next one up in the triad, the Palomino gold triad. It's awesome for doing non-metallic. It's very fast. All you do is the base coat, the Devlin Mud wash, and then you just do edge highlights with the Palomino gold, and then the highlight, just the super edge highlights as sharp as you can make them with the next one up in the triad. Other colors on here, so the cloaks and all that, they look white in all the Games Workshop stuff, but white is never really real white in real life. So I did the Codex Gray, sort of this base coat, which was actually Cloudy Gray for Reaper, and then I did the Misty Gray highlight, and then I did Ghost White as the edge highlighting. So that's just a slight off-white, and it ends up looking almost white, but you have the folds and all the clothing, and it turns out quite well. For the gemstones, I did all those red. So I started with a Scab Red, GW Scab Red, highlighted with Blood Red, did a bit of Blaze Orange on the bottom, and then the white dot just on the edge. Other colors on the sword guys, not really too many other details. Flesh, I just used the elf fleshes with Reaper, so there's a triad there, and used the Ogren Flesh wash to give you some shading. So for the horses, the only difference really with them was the horse itself, and I just did that with the Chardon Granite GW foundation, gave it some black wash, and then highlighted it up just a bit from there. The feathers on them, I just used the Deneb Stone and Ogren Flesh, and then highlighted a little bit from there, just to keep it simple. Now the Gryphon, I spent a bit more time on him. I used all the same techniques for the silver and the gold, and added some other colors in for the main part of the body, and the feathers. Again, just used I used some Reaper Stone Triad with a watered down Bad Black wash to get one color, and then I used the Reaper Cloudy Sky colors to give a slightly different tone of gray. So the one is a bit more of a brown gray, and the other one's a light gray, and that just gives a bit more tonal variation on the wings and the feathers. The back part of the body was just used Deneb Stone base coat, and I gave it a couple washes, again with the Griffon Sepia, and it actually the exact same color on the claws. The skin on the claws is the same as the back, but because of the sharp highlights on there and the lots of texture, it ends up looking like a bit of a different color. For the bases and all these guys, I used just the GW sand, painted it up with scorched brown, dry brushed it a little bit with the Bestial Brown, and added some static grass just here and there to add some variation. Used the GW modular base kit to do all the movement trays, and yeah, they painted up quite fast. The High Elves take a little bit longer than the Skaven because you have to be a bit more exact with the colors. The blues and all that, you don't want those overlapping, whereas with the Skaven you can kind of be a bit more sloppy. And yeah, the non-metallic gold, if you use the Reaper ones, works out really well. You could probably mix it with the GW ones as well, using maybe the Calthon Brown base coat or the Idian Dark Sun, Bata Black, no, I'll try that again, Devlin Mud shade, and then some, probably if you mixed in some snakebite leather, and then snakebite leather mixed with either bleached bone or one of the bright yellows. Yeah, with the foundation one, that's the Tanser Ochre. Mixing in some white there, you could probably get a similar effect. But I find the Reaper ones, straight out of the bottle, works really well and looks great on the table. But again, I started with the gray, dry brushed the silver on. That way I wasn't worried about getting metallic paint on anything else, which is always a pain later on. And I think that's it.